While we were in the kitchen, my stepson inquired about it. This is a true story of infidelity. Rachel is my name. The tale I am about to share is one I find difficult to confess, yet it has profoundly shaped my reflections on emotions, responsibility, and the delicate boundary that separates right from wrong. Early that morning, my husband James departed for a weekend business trip to Los Angeles. In a quaint house nestled by the California shore, we basked in the warmth of sunlight pouring through expansive windows, accompanied by the gentle, rhythmic lullaby of waves crashing against the sand throughout the day. James was passionate about his work, and I stood by him unwaveringly, even as his frequent absences made the house feel increasingly hollow with each departure. In the stillness of the morning, I chose to embrace the tranquility by tidying up the house and revitalizing the atmosphere. As I pressed play on my cherished jazz playlist, I began my journey in the living room. The melodies emanating from the speakers floated gently through the air, crafting a serene and ethereal ambience that harmonized beautifully with the invigorating ocean breeze. I donned a plain white t-shirt paired with denim shorts, ensuring ease of movement and comfort, while I concentrated on dusting the lofty bookshelves that housed James's cherished decorations. An unmistakable sensation washed over me. Someone was standing behind me. I pivoted and caught sight of Logan, James's son from his earlier marriage, casually leaning against the doorframe. Logan emerged from his room, his hair tousled and his eyes still holding the remnants of slumber. "Good morning, Logan," I said, offering him a smile as I endeavored to keep my voice light and cheerful. "Morning," he replied, his gaze lingering a touch longer than usual. He entered the living room and settled onto the sofa, his gaze lingering on me. I endeavored to remain focused on my tasks, yet the weight of his presence rendered concentration increasingly elusive. We engaged in casual conversation about his internship aspirations and the projects he was currently immersed in. As I stretched to reposition a picture frame perched on the top shelf, I remained blissfully unaware of my precarious balance atop the small stool beneath me. The stool teetered precariously to one side, and in that moment, I found myself losing my balance. "Rachel," Logan called out, his voice urgent as he hurried toward me. He encircled my waist with his arms, just as I was about to tumble in the stillness of the room. The firmness of Logan's hold enveloped me. We remained motionless for several moments. My breath hitched in my chest as our gazes locked, closer than they had ever been. The strength of Logan's embrace enveloped me, yet there lingered a softness, as though he feared to catch me off guard. My heart raced as I recognized the proximity between us, so near that I could sense the warmth of his breath. I released a soft chuckle to shatter the heavy stillness. "It was fortunate that you were present. I might have taken a rather unfortunate tumble," I remarked with a hint of levity. Logan hesitated before replying. His gaze remained fixed on me, as though he longed to speak, yet the words eluded him, trapped by a lack of courage. His gaze held a blend of confusion, curiosity, and an elusive hint of admiration. I broke free from his grasp and smoothed down my t-shirt, striving to restore my poise. Logan remained in place, his gaze fixed intently upon me. I glanced at him and spoke in a manner I hoped would come across as nonchalant. "What are your plans for the weekend?" Logan shrugged, a subtle smile beginning to grace his lips. "Not quite. I think I'll simply remain at home and unwind." I inclined my head and made my way to the sofa, gesturing for him to join me there. I required a moment to regain my composure after the near tumble. As Logan took a seat beside me, an unexpected intimacy enveloped the air, making the distance between us feel more confined than it ever had. The stillness that enveloped us was not filled with tension. Rather, it was a serene quietude, wrapped in a sense of ease. The gentle murmur of the waves outside flowed in, harmonizing with the warm golden sunlight that poured through the expansive window. As I caught Logan's eye, I realized he was still observing me with that tranquil, unwavering look, yet there was an unmistakable shift in it. Something gentle, something genuine. "I've always cherished mornings such as this," I remarked softly, shattering the stillness, serene and unhurried. Logan nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "I feel the same, particularly when there's someone to experience it alongside." His words caused me to hesitate. The gravity in his tone suggested he was addressing something far from trivial. My heartbeat began to race. Rachel, there are moments when it seems we grasp each other's thoughts without uttering a single word, he murmured, his gaze unwavering from mine. The warmth crept up to my cheeks. Despite knowing I shouldn't feel this way, the way Logan gazed at me cast a fog over my thoughts. In a moment of instinct, I extended my hand and gently brushed against his arm. That delicate gesture appeared to suspend the atmosphere around us in a moment of stillness. Only the sound of our breaths filled the air, accompanied by an indescribable sensation that eluded expression. "Is that you, Logan?" I whispered, filled with uncertainty, yet my gaze remained fixed. Without uttering a word, Logan softly laid his hand over mine, grasping it in a gesture that seemed to offer comfort and reassurance. At that instant, clarity washed over me. We found ourselves at the precipice of an experience that transcended mere moments of intimacy. Yet, before my thoughts could wander any deeper, he drew nearer. I came to the realization that I was not taking a step back. In the embrace of the morning sunlight and the warmth of his breath, it seemed as though the entire world beyond had faded into oblivion. Logan leaned in closer, and I found myself irresistibly drawn to follow suit, inching forward with a deliberate slowness. That moment seemed to linger endlessly as the space between us vanished. His breath caressed my cheek, warm and achingly near. I shut my eyes, sensing that every sound in our vicinity had faded away. As his lips met mine, tender yet brimming with feeling, a shiver coursed through my whole being. The kiss unfolded with a deliberate grace. It was tender, as though we both understood we were traversing a last threshold, one from which there would be no turning back. My heart raced within my chest, yearning to escape its confines. I was acutely aware that this was not right. I was acutely aware that this was a path I ought to avoid. Yet, in that instant, my logic faltered, unable to withstand the comforting embrace that Logan offered. His hand brushed softly against my cheek, drawing me nearer as though he feared I might vanish. The powerful and swift rhythm of his heart resonated within me. It aligned perfectly with my own. I extended my hand to graze his shoulder, sensing the strength of his form and the rapid rise and fall of his breath as he softly uttered my name. Rachel, the timbre of his voice, sent a chill down my spine. I leaned my head against his chest, sensing his arms envelop me with a secure yet gentle embrace, as though he sought to protect me from all that lay beyond the sanctuary of our shared existence. Our breaths intertwined, his warmth wrapping around us in the soft glow of the room. I gently caressed his cheek, savoring the warmth of his skin under my fingertips. Logan's embrace grew a fraction tighter, his gaze revealing a depth of sincerity and yearning that was undeniable. We were acutely aware that the boundary had been breached. The barriers that once stood between us had vanished. Logan bowed his head and pressed his lips against mine once more, this time with a deeper, more fervent intensity. His kisses dismantled every barrier I had erected. I let my fingers glide through his hair, a shiver coursing through my hands as the flood of emotions surged within me, demanding release. The waves outside persisted in their rhythmic melody, a gentle reminder of the world that continued to thrive beyond my immediate surroundings. In that instant, nothing else mattered but the rhythm of his breath, the steady beat of his heart, and a profound intimacy that suggested we had been intertwined for an eternity. I urged myself to cease, yet my heart remained unyielding. The gentle warmth of his breath brushed against my ear, his voice a soft, trembling whisper. "I'm at a loss, Rachel. You occupy my thoughts incessantly." I gently brushed my fingers against his cheek, and in his eyes, I perceived that we were both engulfed in this profound, unarticulated feeling. The alluring temptation had propelled us beyond the delicate boundary, enveloping me in a whirlwind of fear and intensity, as though I had surrendered my very essence within his embrace. I found myself teetering on the edge, caught in the fog that blurred the lines between what is real and the tide of intense feeling. The heat radiating from Logan's body and the rhythmic thump of his heartbeat resonating within me clouded my judgment even further. Each caress of his was tender, yet searing, akin to a smoldering flame I could not douse. His lips brushed against my temple, trailing down to my cheek, where tiny beads of sweat glistened, a testament to the storm brewing inside me. My entire being quaked, not from fear, but from a yearning so palpable and taboo. His fingers wove through my hair, tenderly caressing it as if seeking to soothe and draw me nearer. I found myself adrift in his gaze, the gaze of youth imbued with a deep longing and a sincerity that struck me as almost painfully honest. Rachel. His voice trembled on a breath, imbued with yearning, yet also imploring me not to look away. In that fleeting moment, the choice I made eluded my understanding. It was as if I were being swept away by a relentless current, powerless to resist its pull. My heart compelled me to reply, oblivious to the repercussions that might follow. As I shut my eyes once more, I sensed his breath brushing against my neck, the rhythmic thump of his heart resonating in his chest, enveloping me in a surreal haze. Yet deep within the recesses of my mind, a subtle voice murmured, "You've crossed the line." Despite everything, I found myself unable to hold back. Logan drew me nearer, his warmth enveloping me like a comforting embrace, allowing me to lose sight of all else beyond this singular moment. "I never thought this could happen," Logan whispered, his eyes shimmering with a blend of uncertainty and joy, a testament to the fact that I hadn't pushed him away. "Yet, I find myself unwilling to part with you, or the essence of this emotion." His words struck me like arrows, penetrating deep within. I was aware that I ought to withdraw, yet my fingers remained entwined with his. Our breaths intertwined, rapid yet curiously serene. The waves whispered their eternal song, crafting a melody that enveloped us, drawing our moment further away from the grasp of reality. I leaned my head against a shoulder, enveloped in a paradox of comfort and fear. Reality faded away, much like a curtain drawn to a close. Uncertainty enveloped me, blurring the lines between reality and the realm of dreams. The boundary had dissolved, reminiscent of a delicate veil of fog. Suddenly, a noise shattered the tranquility. The front door creaked open, and a familiar voice resonated through the halls of the house. "Is that you, Rachel? Am I back home?" I stood still, as though emerging from the depths of a profound slumber. Logan and I were suddenly yanked from the comforting cocoon we had unwittingly woven around ourselves. For a fleeting moment, my heart seemed to freeze in time. Logan released his grip on me, his eyes wide with alarm, yet beneath that surface lay a depth of emotion we both hesitated to articulate. My heart raced with such intensity that I feared my entire being might shatter. The atmosphere in the room appeared to dissipate as James entered, his countenance radiating a joyful smile, utterly unaware of the chaos brewing within me. "Is that you, Rachel?" His voice carried a warmth and ease, reminiscent of the familiar tone he adopted upon returning home after a lengthy business trip. I inhaled deeply, seeking tranquility, and compelled my voice to maintain a steady cadence. As I emerged from the living room, I called out, striving to maintain a smile that felt effortless, despite the slight tremor in my hands. James approached, enveloping me in a warm embrace and planting a fleeting kiss on my forehead. "I missed you," he said, oblivious to the palpable tension that enveloped the house. I cast a fleeting look in Logan's direction. He stood a few feet away in the living room, hands buried deep in his pockets, as though to prevent them from trembling. Our gazes intertwined for a fleeting moment, yet it was sufficient for me to perceive the chaos within him, a blend of remorse and an insatiable yearning. "Is that you, Logan? Come over and say hi to your dad," James said with a cheerful smile as he caught sight of him. Logan inhaled deeply, composed himself, and approached with a practiced smile. "Hello, Dad. How did your trip go?" James radiated joy, giving Logan's shoulder a proud pat. "The experience was wonderful. Everything unfolded seamlessly. I even returned with a few tokens for you both." A lump formed in my throat as James uttered the word Mom. It brought to mind my position straddling two realms, one bathed in the serene affection of James, and the other ensnared in the illicit feelings that Logan and I had only just begun to explore. James faced me, his expression brimming with joy, as he recounted his meetings and shared amusing anecdotes from his journey. Yet his words merely floated by, barely registering in my mind. My thoughts lingered in that earlier moment, when I had felt genuinely seen and desired in a manner I never believed I would encounter again. Logan lingered silently behind James, his gaze fixed on me, as though he were on the verge of uttering something profound. Yet, I averted my eyes from his stare. I had to ensure that James remained oblivious to anything out of the ordinary. "I'll make us some coffee. You must be tired," James said with a smile, moving toward the kitchen, unaware of the thick silence that enveloped the room. Once the kitchen door clicked shut behind him, I shifted my attention to Logan. "We must stop," I murmured, my voice trembling. Logan advanced a step, his gaze heavy with sorrow. "I'm aware, however, this sensation." He swallowed hard, grappling with the elusive words for a feeling that remained just beyond his grasp. "Logan, we cannot continue in this manner. This family—" I tightened my grip, clinging to the final remnants of my determination. "This family means the world." Logan remained quiet, his gaze betraying a profound sorrow. He inclined his head in acknowledgement. Yet, I was acutely aware that we both recognized the weight of what had transpired between us, a memory not easily cast aside. James came back, 2 cups of coffee in hand, his smile radiating warmth as always. "The two of you appear quite solemn. While I was gone, did anything of note occur?" I let out a laugh, airy yet lacking authenticity. "No, absolutely nothing. Just small talk," I replied, extending my hand to grasp a cup of coffee from James. Logan offered a smile, yet his eyes remained shrouded in a veil of unease and regret. He averted his gaze and strolled toward the expansive window that framed the ocean, as though seeking an avenue to flee the space, now heavy with reminiscences. I settled beside James, yet the once familiar warmth of joy and tranquility had been fractured by a fissure I feared might remain unhealed. The heat of his palm against mine failed to calm the tempest brewing within me. In the days that ensued, an unspoken weight enveloped the atmosphere. I endeavored to maintain a sense of normalcy, tidying up the house, preparing dinner alongside James, inquiring about his work as I routinely did. Yet, in each hushed pause that fell between our exchanges, I remained acutely aware of Logan's gaze upon me. Logan averted his gaze whenever James was present, yet in those fleeting moments we encountered each other in the kitchen, the hallway, or on the porch, the air thickened with unspoken tension and palpable awkwardness in every exchanged glance. One afternoon, as James ventured out to enjoy a game with friends, I took the opportunity to step into the backyard and tend to the rose bushes, giving them the water they so dearly needed. The waning afternoon light danced gently through the foliage, yet my thoughts remained heavy, tethered to worries I couldn't release. Soft footsteps echoed behind me, and in an instant, I recognized them as Logan's. My heart constricted, yet I remained steadfast, refusing to look back. He advanced, positioning himself just a few feet away. I just wanted to step outside and get some fresh air," Logan said, his voice low and tinged with a hint of awkwardness. I nodded, attempting to concentrate on my task, yet my fingers gripping the garden hose quivered with uncertainty. Logan advanced another step, drawing near enough for me to catch the gentle rhythm of his breath mingling with the crisp ocean air. "It seems you're deliberately keeping your distance from me, aren't you?" His voice, though soft, carried an unmistakable urgency. I remained quiet, uncertain of how to reply. Fear gripped me, for I believed that uttering a single word could set off a chain reaction, causing everything to fall apart. "I understand. All that transpired. It is a challenge to come to terms with." Logan paused, his gaze heavy with anguish, yet I cannot feign that it never occurred. "You occupy my thoughts incessantly." I glanced at him, and within his gaze, I beheld the tumult of emotions I had been striving to suppress, entwined in a web of confusion, longing, and guilt. "Logan, we must move beyond this," I murmured, striving to maintain a calm tone. His eyes wavered briefly before locking onto mine, a mix of anguish and determination etched across his face. Yet, I find myself at a loss. As the echoes of the past swirl in my mind, each glance and every fleeting moment brings it all rushing back. I tighten my grip on the hose, my knuckles paling to a ghostly white. My sentiments echoed those thoughts. Each morning and evening, that moment unfolded in my mind with the vividness of a recent memory. Yet deep down, I understood that I must bring it to a halt. This family represented the culmination of all that James and I had created together. I inhaled deeply, feeling the sting in my eyes as tears loomed, ready to cascade down my cheeks. Logan, if you truly value this family and your father, then we must find the strength to release our hold. He remained quiet, as if engaged in a fierce struggle deep within. At last, he nodded and turned away, his shoulders trembling ever so slightly, as though he had just experienced a profound loss. I observed him retreat into the house, leaving me solitary in the dimming dusk, a profound emptiness settling in, resonating through every fiber of my existence. Though I understood this was the necessary choice, the chasm that lay between us seemed to rip a fragment of my heart asunder. I remained motionless in the yard as the waning afternoon sun sank below the horizon. The waves crashed relentlessly, serving as a poignant reminder of the enduring nature of time and the virtue of patience. Yet within me, a tempest raged, chaotic and uncontainable. I was aware that sensation lingered, refusing to fade away. Each look, each recollection of Logan was indelibly inscribed in my thoughts. Yet, I was acutely aware that inaction would lead to my undoing. Remaining in this emotional limbo would inevitably cause everything to unravel. That evening, within the stillness of the house as James lay in deep slumber, I found myself perched on the couch, gazing out through the expansive window. The expansive night sea lay before me, yet my mind was ensnared in a web of restless thoughts. As dawn broke, I resolved to put an end to the stifling tension that had lingered for far too long. As I entered the kitchen, Logan's gaze met mine, his eyes brightening at the sight of me. It seemed he had an inkling that this dialogue was destined to unfold. I positioned myself opposite him, fingers intertwined to stifle the quiver that threatened to betray my composure. "Logan," I started, my tone gentle yet resolute. "This cannot continue." Logan nodded slowly, yet his eyes betrayed a profound sorrow. "I am aware, yet how do we feign that it never occurred?" I gazed at him for what felt like an eternity, the pain in my heart intertwining with a newfound determination. While the past remains unalterable, our path ahead is ours to define. Your entire future lies before you, and this family is my responsibility. Logan bowed his head, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. I've never experienced such intensity before, yet I shall endeavor to embrace it. I extended my hand and softly brushed against his, a wordless goodbye lingering in the air. "I have faith in your abilities, and I shall join you in that endeavor." We sat together in silence, yet this silence carried a weight of acceptance. I was certain that what we shared was no error. It was an intricate tapestry of emotions that humanity occasionally finds beyond its grasp. Yet, the decision to release it did not lessen its worth. Rather, it stood as a testament to the growth and mutual respect we cultivated for one another and for this family. A week later, Logan found himself in possession of an offer from a prominent company in New York, a coveted internship he had long aspired to attain. As he unveiled the news during dinner, James's heart swelled with joy, and he embraced him tightly, his voice brimming with pride for his son's remarkable achievement. A smile graced my lips, yet within me churned a blend of relief and sorrow. As Logan departed, I lingered at the threshold, enveloping him in an embrace that seemed to stretch into eternity. I murmured, "Take care of yourself, Logan." He nodded, his gaze soft yet resolute. "So are you, Rachel." He turned and departed, taking with him the weight of his aspirations and recollections. I lingered in that moment, observing his car fade into the distance along the coastal road, a strange mix of lightness and emptiness washing over me, as if I had just turned the final page of a significant chapter in my life. Our narrative may not have unfolded in the traditional sense of a happy ending, yet there are moments when the decision to step away becomes the sole means of preserving the beauty that once was. I retreated into the embrace of our home, the sound of James's voice reaching me from the living room, a melody of familiarity and solace. As I entered, a smile graced my lips as I looked at him. Life continued its relentless march, and I resolved to nurture the tranquility I recognized as essential to my being.